Hello everyone, this is the Seeker of Grace. I hope that you are prepared for some chaos, because the Elden Ring I Am A Newbie challenge run is about to begin. But you must be wondering, an Elden Lord, new to Elden Ring and bad at fighting, how does that even make sense? I know there is a lot of explaining to do, but first, allow me to provide some context for this challenge. Care to hear a story? This is Joe.
Hey!
A tarnished like me, but unlike me, his experience in the lands between was a terrible one. He regaled me with tales of his adventures, and it is no exaggeration to say that these are what they looked like. The journey for him was pure suffering, but at last, after facing many dangerous trials and intense battles, he gave up on becoming Elden Lord. He then traveled to the world of Dynasty Warriors, but that's another story for another time. So, returning to the subject, it is not my intention to make a mockery out of these individuals, but there truly are many tarnished like Joe, a new tarnished who is, for lack of a better expression, bad, and lose hope in achieving their goals. I want to experience what it's like to be Joe, and more importantly, to sieve their ways for them to overcome the many trials presented by the lands between, all without having to leave their comfort zone. Now there is a lot to explain in the rules section, so I humbly ask for your patience. I shall begin by talking about the rules of thumb. The premise of this challenge is that I am a newbie and I am bad. Hence, like any normal tarnished with their senses about them, I have to follow directions closely and be somewhat inadequate at fighting. Specifically, I will have to rely mostly on guidance provided by sights of grace and word of mouth to find my way around the lands between, and I cannot perform overly complex maneuvers. That is, maneuvers which involve more than 2 actions. To give you an example, I cannot perform a dashing jump, since it involves a forward movement, a dash, and a jump. 3 actions in total. There are some exceptions to this rule, but I can assure you that they are more restrictive. Now let's move on to the specifics. Talking about exploration, I must not venture out of my current area until the main boss is defeated, so if I am in Limgrave, I must stay there until Godric has been killed. Naturally, the use of portals is also not allowed. To make this simulation more accurate, I shall regard the Weeping Peninsula as an area separate from Limgrave. Given that I'm supposed to be new to these areas, I must rely heavily on what I see and hear to navigate the lands between, ignoring all topographical features until I hit a literal wall. I must collect whatever item I see as long as it does not cause me to deviate too much from my objective, even if it endangers my life. Whenever I encounter any enemy or group of enemies for the first time, I must attempt to fight them. And if I'm given a clear objective, such as go to Stormvale Castle, I must not sidetrack from that objective unless I find myself making no progress. For instance, getting beaten by Margit 10 consecutive times. As for combat, I must keep my maneuvers as simple as possible. I mentioned earlier that I must restrict myself to moves that apply no more than 2 actions, but with some exceptions to this rule. The following are moves that I can use only when stationary: guarding, jump attacks, using and switching items, casting and switching spells, locking onto a target, and releasing target lock. The following are moves that I can perform only when I'm not in combat: dashing, mounting or dismounting my horse, changing my equipment, and sorting through my inventory. Moves that I am not allowed to use include the following: dash attacks, roll attacks, charged attacks, Ashes of War with stances, crouching, walking, quick swapping equipment, hard swapping equipment, pouches, two-handing, dual wielding, target switching, and free aiming. When performing a maneuver, I must commit to repeating it at least a fixed number of times. Maneuvers that need to be repeated at least twice include attacks from heavy weapons, all jump attacks, spells with long casting times, and parrying, while those that need to be repeated at least thrice include attacks with light weapons, spells with short casting times, and dodge rolling. For the case of dodge rolling, I will have to, if possible, panic roll until the attack ends or I run out of stamina. As for guarding, I must commit to blocking the entire string of attacks and release my guard only when there's a noticeable gap. Also, while I am riding on my horse, I must commit to double jumping whenever I, jump, and I can only attack on the right side of my mount. Now for the case of strengthening and upgrades, I must increase every attribute by 3 before I can focus on leveling up specific attributes. When I pick up new equipment in my adventures, I must use it in at least one enemy encounter, even if I do not meet the stat requirements. And every weapon that I commit to using must be upgraded as much as possible, as long as I have the necessary materials and I do not change my main weapon. There may be some points I missed in this list of rules and regulations, but I will certainly mention them as I progress through my adventure. I believe this challenge run will be the most meaningful one I have embarked on thus far. Chronicling every single part of this challenge would probably be too time-consuming, so instead, I will be releasing guides and short videos for the important parts. Shadow of the Erdtree is approaching, but I will try my best to cover the area of Limgrave by then. And if you're looking forward to this challenge run and all of its related content, then please click on the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you for watching, and grace be with you.